This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, what we can see in on error continue, on error propagate, and also what is the scope of the payload in that. And we have also seen until successful. Any doubts in that part? Does anyone need any recap?
I was not attended. If possible, 5 minutes high level explanation is also fine for me. I'll revisit to the recordings, but if you give high level, also fine for me.
Sure, Bhimeshwar. Let me just give you some 5 minutes recap. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, Keith.
Yeah. So what we discussed yesterday is we have seen about scope. So let me just remove this one. So yesterday we have seen like if at all, so you understand like when we use variables, right? If at all we want anything like some from our listener API, we are getting some request, we are sending it to insert, like we are inserting database. But after that, if you want your payload to be preserved, we has known the concept of set variables. But let's say if you want like suppose for until here, because our database connector changes the payload and changes the attributes. Suppose if you want like all the attributes, but once this we are executing our insert statement, our insert database connector, it will change the payload. That's why we use variables. But what if you want you don't want that to be changing? So for that, what you can do is simply you can do one thing. Whatever database connector you have, extract it to some flow or subflow. It's as per your wish. Extract it to I'm extracting the flow, and I will say insert flow. The new flow will be created, and here you know flow reference will be automatically coming and it will be automatically executing here. So here you will have an option called as target. So target means here whenever we give some target variable, like if I give target variable, target where if I give something in here, whatever the response, like whatever the insert statement is giving response, instead of giving it in the payload, it will give it in the target variable. So that whatever the payload and attributes coming from our listener API from beginning, they will be continuing forward. Okay, and here we have also seen for execution and all, you can refer to the yesterday's video, Bhimeshwar. So this is the concept we have discussed yesterday. This is the use of target variable. If you want your original payload and attributes to be continuing even after a database connector or any connector, if for specifically, you can keep flow reference and keep a target variable so that the response coming from that connector or from that flow will be saved in a target variable instead of our payload getting changed. So that when we want to invoke any other REST APIs, for that what we can simply give payload instead of getting from variables. We can get it from the original payloads and original attributes. And also we have seen yesterday for flow. So whenever flow we are giving automatically error handling will come, but for subflow we will not have any error handling. For that, what we need, we have discussed about try catch, where we can drag and drop try. So in try catch, if you want to keep on error continue or on error propagate, let's see on error continue, on error propagate. If I keep on error continue, any error, if at all any error comes here, it will come to on error continue, right? We have discussed this in error handling part. So if at all any error comes, it will come to on error continue. And what will happen? If at all we set any payload here, or if at all we set any variable here, if I go to my main flow after this one, my error will not be coming and my payload will also be not changed. That means if at all we set any payload here or any variable here, it won't make any effect to us when it comes to parent flow. So it is suggested don't keep any setting payload or setting variables here because it won't take any effect. And the main difference between on error continue and on error propagate is on error continue will not propagate the error. Means if it comes to after executing this, if it comes to main flow, we will not be able to see the error component. So whenever we get error, right, we will be seeing error.description, error.detail description, or all the error components, right? So those will not be able to see here. If you want to see, you should use on error propagate, not on error continue. Okay, just refer the yesterday's videos, Bhimeshwar. If you have any doubts, we can discuss tomorrow.
Sure, Kirti. Thank you.
Okay. So today let's see one of the use cases and one of the thing in a transfer message where we can create arrays and we can append to the arrays. So how we can do that, we'll see. So for that, the use case is, suppose let's say I want one of my use cases, I want to insert the database into first HR database. Let's discuss this one. First one is I want to insert the data into HR database, and after inserting I want to know like after inserting I want to know that all of the IDs, like suppose whatever I have inserted into HR database, suppose I'm inserting 10 records. For these 10 records, what I want is I want to retrieve some data. I want to retrieve all of this 10 data from, let's say, some REST API, some details from this API. Means whatever I'm inserting, those details has to come here. And with that data, I will be getting some more data, like REST API, I will be getting some finance data. Let's say finance data is coming from this API. And this finance data, I have to insert into finance database. Finance database. So let's say I'm getting 10 records here. That is, I will be inserting data IDs like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. These 10 data, I want to insert this into, I want to give this as input to this REST API. By giving this input to this REST API will give me some more finance data. Like for this ID1, it will give me that this belongs to this pay grade or payroll or something. It will give me some related data, pay data. Let's say for one it will give some data, for two it will give some data. Like this, it will give 10 data. So we have to accumulate all these 10 data from this API, and we have to send this accumulated data into finance database. So what is the main thing here? First, inserting into HR database 10 records. This we are good. How to do this? We have seen this. We can either insert from CSV or we can directly insert from our API by giving 10 input data. After inserting this, I want to capture this 10 data and I want to invoke REST API from this by giving this to REST API, and whatever the response I'm getting from that REST API, I want to insert into finance database by accumulating all this data. So how to accumulate this one? How to get this one? We'll see. For that, let me create a project. I will say accumulate API. Okay, and then I'll keep a listener. I'll create a listener. I don't require any base path. I will just say insert. That's all. For this insert, I will be giving 10 payloads in my input, and I want to insert all of those to my database. So how I can insert? I can simply say insert. And for this insert, I can keep
Here we are going with a bulk insert only, right, Kirti?
Yeah, I was about to show you. So for 10 inserts, how to get into for each, or if you want to give directly bulk insert, we can give directly bulk insert also. Like if you want to keep bulk insert for 10 data, we can directly keep bulk insert. This get the connection. Okay, localhost. and this everybody knows here. Okay. And I will give insert into MP. Okay, so here I will give, it will be expecting an array of these named parameters. So here what I will do is, in the API request, right, I will be setting with these values only. So let me give, so I'll have an array, and in that I can send 10 records with this one, MP underscore ID 100, MP underscore name 1, MP underscore status A. Let me just quickly check this format if at all this is correct or not in JSON formatter once. Okay, and I will give test2, 3, test4, and 7. 5, 4, and 1. Let me just quickly check here. JSON formatter. Okay, this is valid. So I will give this as my input to my API. So instead here I will have insert, and this will be my payload. Okay, let's just debug and see. And let me keep a logger here to see the response. Logger and debug. Okay. In the meanwhile, let's see the database once. I have 3 records. Now our 7 records has to be coming. Okay, deployed. Let me hit it. Okay. Payload. It is you everybody knows, right? After bulk insert, this will be our payload. We will not have our original payload here. And if I just send response, I did not give any response until now, so it will just give this SQL response. I just check in my database whether they're inserted or not. So they are inserting. All the 7 records have been inserted. Now what is my next requirement? My next requirement is, first one, I have inserted the data into HR database. Now I want to insert this again. All this whatever the data we have inserted here, I want to insert into REST API. So here I have just taken one sample REST API, dummy REST API for using. So here generally you will be having clients API. Whenever they are giving some API, they will be giving you some APIs. So for our learning purpose, I have taken this dummy API. So since this is online and free APIs, right? It will sometimes it will error out. So just need to hit it again. Yeah, here we have dummy APIs. I'm going to select, let's say, get APIs. If I click on it, let me open in incognito mode. Okay, see, whenever I'm hitting with incognito, so this sometimes this free API will give some errors. So no need to worry about it here. So it is giving some data like status, data ID for one. So it is successfully has been fetched. Let's see in Postman how it is coming. Let me hit it in Postman. Too many requests. Okay, it is giving this type of data. Data success ID equals to 2, and like this we are getting. Okay, so now what I will do is I have to give my input data. Like here we have our this one, right? Insert data. So here I'm giving employee ID. Now I want to give this employee ID in place of this one, like 1001. I doubt that data will be present here. Okay, the data is not there. Let's give one only here for fetching the data for that purpose. So I will say I have to give like for 1, 2, 3. In the similar, how many ways I have, how many input data I have to give in that many times. So for that, what I can do in our Mule, I will keep for each. So for that, I will say for each of what I want to give. So here I have, whenever I'm sending the data into bulk insert data, my payload will be changing. So I can do two things. One thing is I can keep a set variable here, and I can save entire my data into this variable. Or otherwise, what I can do, as mentioned yesterday, I will extract this to transform, extract it to flow, and I will say bulk insert, and after this one, I will keep target variable as insert response, so that my payload will be coming unchanged here. Now, for which one I can say, I can say collection is payload. For payload, I will be iterating through the payload. So for each payload, what I want to do, I want to invoke this API. For invoking REST API, what we have? We have HTTP request. Let me keep it in for each. And I will configure my HTTP request. So here, what is the base path for this API? It has API. Okay, and host is this one. Dummy. This is the host. It has no port, and I will give this as subpath. That's all. No need to do anything. And I will give subpath here. So here you can see the generated URL. This is our URL, right? Dummy restapi.com API v1 employee 1. But here instead of 1, I want my dynamic value. So here this is a URI parameter. If you see, we have a slash, not a question mark. This is a URI parameter. How to get the URI parameter here? I have explained you in one of the classes. Just keep a placeholder and you can declare it here. For ID, what do you want? Let's say I want ID. What do I want here? So in for each, how my ID will be coming? in payload. So here you remember for each classes, right? In for each we have taken for each element, like for each record we will be having, we can execute this statement, this REST API. So we can say here payload dot, what do we have in our payload? We have emp id. So I will give this one. I will give payload dot emp, and I will use. Okay, this means we are giving. Let me see. Okay, it is already coming like this. No need to give this one. This means whatever we are getting the data from this listener, we are sending this to for each, and in for each payload, like means in payload what do we have? We have this one, the array element. Whatever we have, this is an array element. For in this array element, for each this array, like means for this each record, I'm sending this emp id to that particular REST API. So this is one of the use case, you will definitely get it. So in any project, this will be similar to this one. For each you have to keep, and you have to call some APIs, and for that APIs the response you have to accumulate. So this will be commonly asked interview question, and also they will definitely ask like how you will accumulate the data and all. Okay, now let me save it, and let's see the response, how we are getting the response here. In the meanwhile, I will give my emp IDs as 1, 2, 3, because in the dummy data we have only 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let me hit it. Okay, my bulk insert, it will come to bulk insert. Now see here, what is my payload? Our payload is this one, and attributes we have our original attributes coming from listener. I will do bulk insert. After this one, now we are having the same payload and same attributes, but the response from bulk insert, where did it go? It go to insert response. So in this way, we can capture the response of particular flow into a target variable. That is what target variable is doing here. Since I have given target variable, it is coming to target variable. Instead of changing the payload, it is getting into this variable. Okay, now what I will do? So here what I have payload with these elements, 7 elements I have. I will send it. So for each element, for each, it is coming as first one. So for each means the first record, this is the first record payload. In the first record, what I have, emp id equal to 1. So with this, my request will be executing. Next. Okay, it is giving again this error, too many requests. Let me hit it once again. This is online one, right? That's why it is having this problem. Okay. Too many requests. Okay, let's try now. It is coming now. That bulk insert. We have our payload now. Okay, it is.
Keith, this is Karthik.
Yeah, Karthik.
Yeah, did they create any limit while creating the API? Like we are getting error, right? Too many requests.
Yeah, they might have created this one, or because this is an online source, right? This is free source. So many people can be using this one. So that's why they have created a rule that we have created policy, right? They might have created this one, or the channel may be very busy.
Okay, this might be the case. Many people trying at a time.
Yes. I have deleted all the records for our sake. Let me just try it one more time. Otherwise, we will see one more. We can find a way, like we'll give static data for this one and we'll see. Okay, let me try this. Insert, bulk insert. Next, next, next. No, it is still giving error. Too many requests. Let me try one more time and let us proceed with other. Okay, so instead of this one, let's do one thing. I will just simulate this one. Like here, I'm getting this response, right? So instead of calling that one, I will just simulate this one. What I will do is, I will keep a transfer message and I will send the static data because our REST API is not working. But assume that this is our REST API because since it is not working, right? I'm just doing this one. I will say static data I will be giving, and instead of id equal to 1, let's see, I will give hash payload, or I will say payload dot mp. Let's see if this works.
And Kirti, I have another doubt.
Okay.
Why don't we use our own API which we have created in previous projects? Like instead of
For getting
using
data or
from Cloud
something,
Hub, sorry.
which we have created earlier, right? You are mentioning the one.
Yeah.
So in previous ones, what we have done, we have been connecting to local systems, right? So local Oracle and all. So it will give us error.
Yes.
But if at all we deploy, it will give us error saying that that cloud connection is unable to connect to our local system. So we are dealing with our local database just for learning purpose. Whereas coming to client system, whenever you are in client projects, right, they will have a database which is accessible by everyone. They will have certain security protocols and everything will be set right. So at that time you can use, if you want, if you have any client database, you can use that one. Since our is local database, it won't be accessible by everyone. I'm just showing in this way. Oh, not this one, right? Okay. Bulk insert for each. So here I'm getting this response. So here I just I'm getting ID dynamically. The rest everything will be static only. So I have just simulated the response. Again, so if I click on next, for the second one, what I will be getting, this is my response. So let's assume that this will be the response from REST API. So if you see here, if I'm going through 7 times, whatever I'm giving from the payload, it is giving me 7 responses. So if you want to save this entire data from REST API, so REST API will be giving you responses something like this. How do you save this for all 7 responses, and how do you send it? We can keep like we can think like we can keep a variable here and we can save it to variable. Let's see. What I will do is I will keep a variable and I will give REST response. And for that I will give payload. Means what we assume is for all the REST responses will be coming into this payload that we assume. Let's see if that works or not. Let me just stop it and let me keep a logger here outside the for each scope so that we can see what is the response, what is the payload coming out of for each, and what is the response coming out of this variable. Let me run it again. And I will keep a okay. I will keep it at breakpoint here instead of this one. I will remove this. Okay. Let me send it. It has already inserted and came to this point. Now I will say for each it will be getting the response and it will be setting the variable. So until now, see here what are the variables. We have counter. Counter means for each will defaultly set the counter. Insert response. This is the insert response, and this is the default root message for this one. If I click on next, my variable will be REST response, the first payload, the first response we are getting from REST API. But if I go on for the second one also, it is overridden. See here, it is being overridden. The second one is there. So if I do for like that for all the one, and if I go and check after for each scope, let me resume it 7 times, it will iterate and it will come to this one. And if I see the variables, I will see the REST response, only the last one. We will not be able to capture all the responses. And also if you check the payload which we have here is the payload which we have before for each. We will not be able to get the payload inside the for each. Okay, what is this payload? This payload is here, and before for each what we have payload, that will be coming after the payload, after the for each. In for each, even if you set variable and even if you set payload, it won't take effect. Set variable will be taking effect only for the last one, last iteration, whatever you are setting, that will be having, but will not have accumulated data. So how to send the accumulated data? But why to? So here one of the main question is why to accumulate? You can simply think that we can keep here directly. We can keep insert. After getting the response from REST API, whatever response I'm getting, I can directly send it to insert. That is valid scenario only. But in case if at all you're having hundreds of records, like if you're getting 10 to 20 records, let's say bulk amount of data is getting. So if you hit insert that many times, that will be a lot of performance issue. We are connecting data to database that many times. It will consume most of the time and it will consume space. So it will degrade the performance of our application. That is why bulk insert is being provided for us. So for that, what you need to do? So instead of inserting it step by step, one by one in for each, we can keep a bulk insert here like this. And for bulk insert, we need to generate a payload like this one. For first bulk, how did we generate? We are giving request something like this, right? So for that also, we have to accumulate data from this REST API and we have to generate a payload to this bulk insert. That means let's see here we have response from this one, right? So for this from this one I have to accumulate data in this way. Let me show you. We have something like this, right? So instead of this one I have to get all APIs, all the details like this in an array. I want to get like this, something like this I want to get. so that after generating this one, I can modify this one and I can send it to bulk insert. So this is one of the real-time scenario. They will definitely ask like how do you accumulate from for each, and even if they don't ask in interviews, this will be a live real-time example. At least one time we will face this situation in real-time projects. And also one of the important interview question or certification exam question is, whatever you are setting from this one, from before for each. Suppose if I have for each before for each payload, and if I am setting some payload in for each, will it affect the next one? Will the payload will be setting in for each? The answer is no. Even if we set payload here, it won't set here, because after for each, my original payload will be from here. Before for each, whatever we have, it is that one. Let me just quickly show you that one, so that you will have an idea. Set payload, I'm setting after each for each, I'm setting my payload as, this one I will say payload from, or I will say from for each. So this will be my setting. This will be my payload, and I have to see after this one, right? But I won't be able to see. Let me save it and run it. Okay, this is a bulk insert. Okay, I did not configure it. Okay, it is failing because we have kept this one, right? I will remove this one and I will just save it. Okay, it is deployed. Let me hit it or API. And here, let me show you. For each, it will give some response. Let's assume this is REST API, right? REST API is giving some response. We are setting that to variable. We can see the variable data, and I'm setting this payload. But again, it will go for the first one. So setting the payload, we can't see the effect. It will set again. And let's see after this one, after all executions, will we have our setting payload, whatever payload we are setting from for each, will we have it? The answer is no. See the payload, whatever we have the payload before for each, it will be the same after for each also. And if you set any variable in for each, the last thing, the last value you set in this variable, that will be the final response. We'll be having only the seventh one, the last one. So how to accumulate it, we will see. For that, you can do, you can create a variable in transfer message before this one. So you know that creating a variable, we have two types. We can create in set variable, and also we can create in transfer message. You can do here how to create it. I have shown in multiple classes. Just click on this plus button and select the variable. I want to give my list on OK. And here, instead of this one, create something like this and as array. So this means, you know, this one is an array. So I'm just keeping this an array so that this is an empty array. So this is just like initialization. Now I want to add whatever I'm getting here. I want to add. So before for each, I'm just initializing it. In the for each, I will be adding values to it. So let me just remove this one and this one, and I will be adding values to it in transfer message. Let me show you after this. So how to again add the values to it in the same way. My list, and here let's keep it in the JSON format. JSON format. Oh, sorry, not this. My list JSON format. This is my JSON type of array, and here also I'm giving for this variable. This is JSON type of array. What I need to do is for this variable. So I have initialized this variable, right? For this variable, I will keep vars dot mylist dot plus plus. We use plus plus for array concatenation. So for arrays, adding arrays, multiple arrays to any array, we will use plus plus symbol, plus plus operator. So here I will say what I want to add. I want to add here. I want to add. So I will say payload dot what I'm getting. What I want to add. Let's say I want to add this. See here our response from REST API is this one, right? So I want to add this ID, employee name, and let's say employee salary. I want to add these three fields. So I will do payload dot data dot ID. So if I keep in this way, it will be adding only to this one. But what I want to add in such a way that we have to get it in a structure. So something like this, I will say plus plus. Let me, okay, not this one. Dot.
Plus array we have to give, is it?
Yes. Data dot ID. I will give in this way. I will insert this date to employee ID or yeah, employee ID. Employee name equals to dot. Let's see. Hello dot data dot. Instead of name, I will give salary, empty salary. Data dot empty salary. Oh, we have name. Okay. Empty name equal to hello dot name dot empty name. So for this one, this entire thing has to be added to my variable. So I will give vars dot empty list plus plus this one. So I will give in this an array format. Okay, so what does this mean? This entire variable list. So this is like just like we do in our coding, right? So if we want to add sum of numbers, what we do, sum equals to sum plus n, like that we'll do, right? So first we are initializing it to empty array, and after it we are doing for each empty for each response. For this empty array, I'm adding the value from the payload. So it will accumulate all the data. So after this one, let me show you the response and. Logger, let's see the response after this transfer message. I will keep breakpoint here. Let me save it and let me run it. In the meanwhile, let me create a finance table here. So I have some create query somewhere here. One. Create. Create finance and employee ID, employee name, and I will give employee salary. And that is also a number. Okay, it is created. I will just do select star from fin once. We have not inserted any data into fin until now. We have just created it. Okay, employee ID, employee name, and employee salary. Okay, Now let's accumulate it and let's insert into database. Okay, let me hit it. Send. Okay, my bulk data insert is finished already, and I can see two variables. One variable I'm setting it here. My list is empty. Now if I go to here for each, what happened? Okay, some exception happened. Let's see. With no expression, util dot map. Remove this one. I don't want this. I will just remove this entire payload. Okay, let me hit it again. Insert. Some problem is there with that. Errors here, but this is not an error. This is not an issue as well. Let me just stop this. Okay. I don't know what is happening here with respect to this transform message. Let me keep this one here and let's see what is the issue. Okay, maybe I forgot. Okay. I don't want Let me just keep it outside and take a look what is happening. I don't think there is an issue with the transfer message at all, but logger, and even if we don't keep payload here, it should be fine. No, there is some. Let me just restart Mule for 1 second. Okay, we run it. Okay. Okay, let me send it again. I don't understand the problem here. Let me see anything here. There is no syntax here at all. Let me just, this is outside this one. Whether I have the
Oh, mapped list both have.
Sorry?
Mapped variable list both have not the same format, right? Maybe that is an issue.
No, that I have kept here, right? I just removed it from this one.
Uh-huh.
That whatever I have did right for mapping and all, I kept here. Just to avoid the confusion, right? I have kept here. And this for each, I don't know. Let's do one thing. Let's keep one more for each and see. And I'll just keep this one here. Let's see if this is working at all first. Okay, let me send it again. No, the enter for each is not working. I don't see a problem actually. Not only this for each, any for each is not working. Java.util.map. Did I keep this one here? Yeah, this should work, right? Let me once check this code. This worked before, right? You do not have util also. This is strange. Okay, let's see tomorrow this one. So what is the issue? I'm also not sure. Like for each, we have done the same thing in this one here, right? And somehow this for each is not working. Don't see any other extra things added in XML file also. Data, notes, nothing here. Let's just do a last resort. I will just keep a logger and check whether it is having any issues or any updates are to be installed, because I'm getting, like from past week, I'm getting some updates, but I did not install it. Let's see. Okay. So, no. Let me remove this one then. Okay, the issues maybe with the transform message here. Okay, I understood the problem. So here I was setting my variable, my list, and there is nothing wrong with my list or the array, but here, oh sorry, as array, this is the thing, right? We have written. The problem is here for each collection, it is checking for the payload. But here, do you remember, like for if at all I'm setting this one here, my payload will be empty and it is going through the empty one. So that is why it is a problem. For that, what I will do is I will just keep this one here in front of this one. Now it will work. I thought it was an update issue, but I was wrong. So let me keep this one and transform message. We'll just view this one, whatever I have. Okay, now I think it should work. Okay, everybody understood the problem, right? So whenever I'm keeping the transfer message here, I'm setting the payload as empty here. So that is why it is unable to iterate through empty. But if I keep this transfer message before this one, after setting this one, so after, so I will simply say, now also I'll get the problem. I think I will just give payload. Whatever payload I will be just sending as payload, then I will have no problem. I'll say this one. Because I have to transform, I have to send that payload to the until this step. Okay, let me send it and let me quickly see if it is updated. Let me just rerun it again. Okay, let me send it now. Okay, logger, now I have my payload as is. Now I'll be able to iterate. So it is coming. My payload is there. And what I'm doing is in the transfer message, as we have written, we have given this one. So for my list element, I will be adding all this data. So if I check the list element here, until now what I have in my list, it is 0. So if I click on next, now what is my list? My list is this one, EMPID and all. So if I click on next and if I add it again, what is my list? It is having 2. So in this way, I'm accumulating whatever data I'm doing, I'm accumulating with the help of where's list dot, I mean my variable plus plus. So plus plus symbol is used for concatenating multiple arrays. So if I add in the similar way for all the things, and if I go until this step, so I will just resume it. I will remove breakpoint here and I will send it straight away. If I see my variable now, I'll be having this one with all the accumulated data from my REST response. And from this from here we know how to send the data to database. All we need to do is just drag and drop the bulk insert and write the insert statement. So I'll just do bulk insert, put here, and bulk insert I will do the same insert statement which I have used here, but this is for finance database. Okay, I will use the same database connection. This is same right. Instead of EMP ID, EMP name, and here you have EMP salary, and this is instead of in and EMP salary. That's all. Let me save it and send it, and let's see we are sending that to finance database or not. So here you can send it to same EMP database also, but just for understanding purpose, I have given the use case. Generally, this is somehow like use case will be there. Get the data from one database, and with that database invoke some REST API, and after invoking send it to another database. Something in real time examples, it will be something like this. Now until now, let's just check in this finance database. We have not inserted anything in this finance database. Now I will send it. Send. I have to run it again. Let me run it again. Okay. Okay, let me send it. Okay, it is coming here. Next, for each, it will accumulate the data. Let me resume it and show you. So here I have my response like this. Now all I need to do is just send this to finance database. Okay, EMP salary which was not supplied as input parameter. Let me check input parameter. EMP underscore salary is
Salary
there.
is not there, right? That's why.
We have salary, right? EMP underscore salary. EMP underscore salary. EMP underscore salary. And in my payload, let me check. Okay, in my payload, it is not there. We have to give my list. See, if you see here, we have accumulated data in my list, not in my payload. So for that, what I need to do is in this bulk insert, instead of payload, I will give where's dot my list. Now it will get data from that one. You should not give payload. So wherever our data is, so you can give directly a variable name here, or you can do set payload and give that variable in set payload also. So it is simple if we give it here itself. Okay, let me send it again. Send. I'll just come here. Send. That's all inserted. Let's check in our database now. All our are inserted. Okay, here we involved in three types of data. One is inserting into one EMP database, I mean table. So we can have multiple databases also in this way, in our real-time examples. Inserting into this one, calling a REST API. Since our REST API is not available, I just mocked it using this transfer message. What are the response I'm getting from there, right? And what I did, I have accumulated it using array concatenation in the variable, and I have sent it to my database, finance database. Any questions here?
Why first transform is here, Kirti? First one, can you show me the first one after listener transform?
Okay, this is just for initialization of my variable.
Okay.
Okay.
Second one in the for each.
This one is just for I'm simulating the response. Like our REST API was not working, right? That's why I'm simulating this one. And the third one, right? Third one I'm just using for my concatenation.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, we can see tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.